the ETF is ultimately a broadening and an invitation for way more participation. And so in the anticipation and run up into the end of last year, followed by what we've seen with finally the announcement in January, and then the follow-on activity and flows into the ETFs, it's really, there's demand for this asset, and it comes from a very broad part of the population, and now they finally have the mechanism to trade it in the most convenient and direct way possible. Now we're talking mostly about the U.S. in that case, but I think you're going to see over time volatility become reduced as there's more participation and fewer barriers to entry to the market itself.
Are we sure though? Because the ETFs just end up with any kind of instrument end up spawning more complicated derivative style ETFs. You always see this taking place, and when you've got the likes of Michael Saylor, and I've got nothing against Michael Saylor, but using MicroStrategy to buy Bitcoin, then doing those convertible raises to buy Bitcoin, then he's selling out of Bitcoin. The impact that those big buys have on the price activity are immense. So unless it's far more liquid than what it is currently, because it's almost operating like a small float asset, how do you fix that?
Well, look, I think you get that through more adoption, and you get that through allowing more vehicles for people to participate. Galaxy itself is set up to ultimately service the institutional buyer. That institutional buyer kind of went away a couple years ago, right? In the wake of the challenges that the market had. You referred to SBF as the supervillain, right? In the wake of that, I think the market itself had a bit of a reckoning, and ultimately there's demand for the asset. The institutional participation is just now starting. MicroStrategies is ultimately just a vehicle to own leveraged Bitcoin, and that's sort of what they've done, which is totally fine. I think now we're seeing, with the ETF adoption, different channels for institutions to participate. And like even as recently as yesterday, the Japanese pension fund has said they're exploring, diversifying their asset mix into gold, into Bitcoin. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We had a tremendous surge of institutional demand that never quite made it to the market back in 2021, and I think some of that will come back.